Hey there, I'm Emily D. Baker, everyone's favorite legal commentator. It's July 19th, and Lil Nas X says he's going to jail over the Satan shoes. I've covered the Satan shoes a lot here. He's released courtroom footage, and we need to react to that courtroom footage because I have questions. You might have questions. If you're at this point still thinking Lil Nas X is actually going to jail, no, he's dropping a new album. He was teasing about it on Twitter. People took it very seriously. I got a whole bunch of DMs and I was like, no, the Nike Satan shoe case has already resolved. I covered it quite a lot. Nike and Mischief settled. Nike never sued Lil Nas X over the shoes, but Lil Nas X is not done talking about the Satan shoes. We should just get in. This is a different kind of lawyer reacts for me, where we're going to break down this video from Lil Nas X from the perspective of a lawyer of over 15 years and a former prosecutor. I've been in my fair share of courtrooms with judges doing trials, but not this kind of trial because, there's something a little different when it's a teaser trailer for a music video, isn't there? So let's break it down. This is currently trending on YouTube. It is titled Nike versus Lil Nas X in the Supreme Court. First of all, the Supreme Court is an appellate level court. Generally, in most jurisdictions, the first level court is the superior court. That is where you do trials. That is the trial level court. Appellate courts don't hold trials with like jury people and stuff. So let's see what Lil Nas X has for us.
Yeah, I'm bored.
It opens with the judge on the bench talking on FaceTime. I have never in my life seen a judge on the bench on their cell phone, because you know what they have? Chambers. And what we know from this scene is that this is an open courtroom. You see the audience there, a bailiff at the door. This is a full courtroom. And as it cuts away, we see that the defendant is seated at counsel table, that the jury is in the jury box, and there is no way a judge would be on FaceTime on the bench. Nope. Not in an open courtroom, not in active court. That's time to work. Judges take their personal business in their office because they have an office. It's called chambers. It's where they handle business, talk to counsel. They generally have bathrooms in there too. That's where you do the FaceTiming things, not in open court with an audience full of people.
This little court case for Nike and a little.
We then see it cut away to Lil Nas X sitting apparently at counsel table with a attorney next to him in what looks to be a jail jumpsuit. It is orange, which is a common color. It is very well tailored, more well tailored than any jail jumpsuit you're ever going to see. But also, if you're at trial, and we'll see the jury people in a moment, defendants dress for trial. They generally are in a shirt and tie and a jacket. Most don't choose to come into court in front of a jury in a jail jumpsuit. Additionally, this is Nike versus Lil Nas X, so it would be a civil case, not a criminal case, over money and intellectual property rights and not actual jail time. So there'd be no need to be in a jumpsuit unless it was a fashion statement on the part of the defendant. So phone call end, and then you get to see the judge.
Defendant,
Your Honor, my client
Doesn't even call court to order, just gets off the phone and looks at the defendant and says, defendant. And then the attorney starts talking about his client, but doesn't know his name. Look, by the time something goes to trial, these attorneys have had cases for a substantial period of time. They know who's sitting next to them.
Lil Nash.
I like the all white though. The all white is a moment.
hey man,
It's good.
Lil Nas X.
Lil Nas.
The all white's
Client
nice.
Lil Nasty had
I've
nothing
actually done trials with defense attorneys that have worn all white.
Lady.
And then we see what I'm presuming to be the prosecutor in this case, because they are styling it like a criminal case. You see that he is in now full orange, like a jail jumpsuit, but well tailored. And you see someone talking from the well to the jury. So the attorney should either be standing near the jury or back by the tables, but not in the well of the courtroom. Generally, you do not argue from the well. That can vary by jurisdiction, but standing in the well of the courtroom is genuinely not done. Just what are you doing in the well? It's like there's lava in there. You don't walk in the well unless the judge has asked you to approach the bench. You stand back by the tables or you stand up where the jury is, but not in the middle. Never in the middle. But you can't get the dramatic shot if they're not in the well. But not an accurate depiction of an actual courtroom. I like the seal, though, and that seal appears to be the seal of the great state of California, and that's exactly what the seal in the courts of California looks like, this seal right here. You can also see a little snippet of the California flag right there, which is accurate. This is larger than a lot of the courtrooms in California where I practiced, but yes, this is a seal of the great state of California, so we can assume the jurisdiction is California, and then this would be the Superior Court for sure.
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury,
This is about much more than
He's arguing to the jury when he should be examining the defendant. What I don't understand, counsel, is why you're handing out a shoe that's not been marked into evidence yet. See, when you want to admit evidence in a case, you have to mark it as evidence. You have to lay a foundation for it being evidence, and then it goes into the exhibits, and a jury will get it if and when they choose to deliberate if the case doesn't resolve before it goes to jury deliberations. You don't just hand the shoe around the jury, and the jury seems very offended by this shoe. Is it a stinky shoe? Like, how long has the shoe been in evidence? Was the shoe worn? I have questions, but they're handing around the shoe. From the bottom of the shoe, it doesn't look well worn. It's a very clean black sole. So why are they reacting so strongly to the shoe?
shoes.
They're very offended by the shoe.
X, are you gay?
And then he asks, are you gay? Which is a completely irrelevant question, which Lil Nas X actually responds fairly to.
What does this have to do with the shoes?
What he means to say is objection, Your Honor, relevance, which wouldn't be his objection. It would be his attorney's objection because, again, it doesn't have anything to do with the shoes. And under the Federal Rules of Evidence, Rule 401, questions to be elicited have to be relevant. This actually has no relevance, and therefore the judge would say, oh, I'm sorry, counsel, what's your objection? Oh, objection relevance? Sustained. Counsel, move on. You don't have to answer that, Mr. Nas X. And then they would move on because it is not actually relevant. Move it on.
answer the question.
Yeah, no, that's not what would happen. The court wouldn't say answer the question and instruct the witness to answer the question or the defendant to answer the question. And we haven't even addressed the fact that the defendant seems to have waived his right against self-incrimination and chosen to testify. The defense attorney would be on high alert saying, no, not relevant.
Let me rephrase the question. Do your mama know you gay?
No, don't rephrase the question. Give the defendant an opportunity to answer. The court instructed them to answer, counsel. Also, the person that's lacking from this courtroom is a court reporter. The court reporter would generally be sitting near the witness box somewhere, taking down everything that's being transcribed. And what we don't see is a court reporter. So he answers.
Yes.
And then
Yeah, lock him up, throw away the key.
the jury starts talking to each other. Jurors are instructed to not talk to each other, particularly not in live and open court, but to not talk to each other about the facts of the case, the testimony that they hear, until they are released into deliberation. Not all jurors go into deliberation. There's generally alternates sitting in the jury box, and they are not supposed to be discussing anything with regard to the case until it goes in for deliberation. But you see the juror, Lil Nas X, saying, lock him up and throw away the key. You can't express an opinion of innocence or guilt until you are deliberating the case. That's not how that would happen. Also, this is a civil matter between Nike and Lil Nas X. Nike can't prosecute on behalf of the state. If the state was prosecuting Lil Nas X for something ridiculous, like, I don't know, what would the state even prosecute him for with regard to the shoes? There's not a crime there, but it would be the state versus Lil Nas X, not Nike versus Lil Nas X. Nike's a large corporation, but they do not have prosecutorial authority in any jurisdiction. So throwing away the key, not a possibility in a civil case. It would be more like, fine him the money.
Order.
See, did you
Order,
see?
order.
No court. Look, the court reporter. There should be a court reporter right here somewhere. Sure isn't.
Order.
That jury wasn't really out of order. Nobody was really that out of order. This is a very large reaction from the judge. This is a very rare moment in court that a judge would ever bang a gavel and yell order, but I realize it's very cinematic.
Order. Lil Nas X, I sentence you to 5 years in Montero State Prison.
You can't sentence someone to prison in the middle of their testimony. See, he hasn't been convicted, Evidence hasn't been admitted. Closing arguments haven't happened. Like, the things that would need to happen for one to be convicted haven't happened yet in this case. You have to rest. The prosecution has to rest, then the defense has to rest, then the jury has to deliberate, and then they come back at some point in time with a verdict. After a verdict, there are then sentencing memorandums, sentencing statements, and then sentencing guidelines are evaluated, and then a court can render and issue a sentence. None of that has happened here, so Lil Nas X would not be getting sentenced in the middle of testifying to an irrelevant question after he gave up his Fifth Amendment right and chose to testify in the first place. And then after that, you see the look of fear, and then we get the drop of the album that's coming up. And Lil Nas X goes in the credits, and you will see as the credits roll that he did the whole story, played all the characters, which you can tell through it. And I think it's actually very funny. I think it's kind of a clever way to poke fun at the fact that he has felt persecuted over this, Nike Satan shoes, and perhaps felt persecuted online for the fact that he's gay. And I think it's a funny way to poke at that, though not an accurate courtroom description. Sometime, maybe just ask a lawyer. I'm sure between Lil Nas X and Kanye West, who helped produce this, they have lawyers. Someone, just ask one of them. They'll tell you at least put a court reporter in there doing this, and maybe not having an attorney standing in the well. But either way, I think it is very clever marketing tactics. Lil Nas X's marketing is always quite clever. He's got his freelilnasx.com website ahead of the drop of the album. He started teasing this out on Twitter and caused quite a buzz over the weekend before this teaser trailer dropped. I'll be very interested to see the music video coming out on, what did he say, July 23rd. If you enjoyed this breakdown of the courtroom scene of Lil Nas X going to jail, then go ahead and let me know in the comments down below that you would like to see me break down more courtroom scenes in Lawyer Reacts, because normally it's just the documents, but here we had something a little more fun to work with. So I will see you in the next one. Thank you for being a law nerd. If you haven't done the YouTubey things, go ahead and do the likey, subscribey things. I so appreciate it. I'm live on Tuesdays and Fridays, and I will see you then. Have a great one. Connect with me everywhere. I'm at the Emily D. Baker. If you guys want to join the text, just text Emily.com. If you want to join the channel, lawnerdsunite.com. Happy to have you. Support what we do here on the YouTube.